Welcome to Fine Art Printmaking at the University of Brighton, one of the 3 fine art courses that we run. So why choose Fine Art Printmaking? Well, a key question that you need to ask yourself is, what do you like doing? Are you interested in drawing, using colour? Do you love collage or layering images? Do you like to work with photography, either analogue or digital? Do you like digital image making? Is it Photoshop, Illustrator or Procreate that you enjoy working with? You may not necessarily have had experience of using printmaking, but at the moment that's not so important. It's much more about, are you an image maker? You may have had experience of dry point, etching, screen printing, lino printing, or even lithography. Is the relationship between image and text something that you're interested in? Are you also interested in learning skills like bookbinding or artist book production and the idea of the multiple? Our course will teach you a huge amount of skills, and we certainly focus on skills development in the first year. These are just some of the things that we talk about in that first year. First year is very much about learning to explore lots of different ways of working, and through that exploration you begin to define what it is you're interested in, and that definition of your practice is then refined as you move through the course into the final year. But there's so much more. About 80% of the course is about making work in the studio or in the workshop. So we have a strong focus on making. 20% of the course is where you attend a series of lectures and seminars about themes in contemporary art, and that's a module that's shared with all 3 fine art courses, where you'll go to lectures with fine art painting and fine art students. What does a typical week look like? We try to teach you a couple of days each week. So each day you might have a morning session, an afternoon session, you might have a full day session. But also running alongside that first semester is our printmaking technical inductions, where you'll get your etching, lithography and screen printing induction, making you safe within the workshop and enabling you then to fully utilise those processes and those presses. You could potentially be in the studio 4.5 days a week using that structure, and each day you come in there will be a technical demonstrator to support you. Each student has a studio space, a place to think, a place to work, a place to share ideas. The course is now one of the few fine art printmaking courses in Northern Europe. You can do printmaking on other courses, but this is the only specialist one, which makes our course really unique within the country at the moment, and we have a national reputation as a printmaking degree. This press on the right hand side dates from 1766. So one of the real interesting things about printmaking is that you're touching history when you use those processes. You're learning the same technique that Goya or Rembrandt used to make an etching, or Baldwin using relief printing. The staff have a broad range of contemporary fine art practices, from painting, from drawing, from filmmaking to traditional lithography or etching. The technical demonstrators, I've already said, are experts in their field. Chris Hunt is a master screen printer, Heike Rosell a master etcher and lithographer. Why do printmaking at Brighton? Well, certainly in terms of employable skills, this gives you a great deal, and many contemporary artists continue to make prints, often with the support of a master printmaker. Anthony Gormley, Rachel Whiteread, Cornelia Parker, these sculptors also make prints alongside their work, and many artists sell more printmaking than they do their actual work. Chris Ophelia is a painter who continues to make prints, and there's a long relationship between painters and printmakers. One student some years ago said to me that she thought that printmaking was just lino printing, and one of the key things to think about is that any way that you could make an image is things that we celebrate in printmaking. As Adam said from the Jealous Gallery, print is everywhere, from the magazines that you pick up to the books that you read to the posters that you see on your wall. Yet go into a contemporary art exhibition and you'll also see prints on the wall. We're a smaller course than fine art painting and fine art, and we try to foster from the very start a real sense of community. This was our first trip out of the college up onto the Seven Dials to make some observational work from the landscape. On the very first day, we had our students talking to each other, sharing ideas, talking about their summer holiday project. And by the end of the first day, our first year students are working together to produce some large-scale drawings using black insulation tape. On the second day, we had our second year and third years make tea and cakes for our first years to offer them a really warm welcome and feel at home. So the early part of the first year focuses on the idea of thinking in print. So whether it's how one translates a German woodcut into a drawing using black insulation tape, scaling up the image along the way, to thinking about the notan study, the black-white image that then can be turned into a photopositive for screen or litho, or thinking in layers. A print is either made from a graphic, a photographic or an autographic layer. So we want to address those things very early on. And the workshops that you do in the studio work will feed into your printmaking technical induction so that you learn how to translate your ideas into different processes. Running alongside these workshops will also teach you painting, colour theory, colour mixing, composition. The translation between 2D, 3D into 4D will also be something that we explore, and these paper structures then informed these paintings using 3 colours alone, using yellow, magenta and cyan. Not only is it about producing work, but it's also about how one work speaks to another. How do you get your work up on the wall? How do you make sure that it stays there? What happens when one piece of work is placed next to another? So we also run a series of curation projects and short tasks to get students to really think about how they generate ideas, not only on their own, but also collaboratively. And collaboration is a really important aspect of what we do in print. From whether it's drawing in unusual ways, this was a drawing workshop using wind-up toys, to getting students to work collaboratively producing a series of paper stencil screen prints, to sharing ideas and developing a collaboration between 2 artists. In this instance, we got one artist to make the work of the other, and they swapped over and shared ideas and developed an interesting way of working for themselves, which opened up new possibilities for the future. Again, another one-day workshop using the screen. But that learning to edition prints, not only producing one-offs but also replicating the image, is a vital skill set. As we move into the second semester, we also focus on exhibition and how you exhibit work, and that feeds us into the second year, where the students have a collaborative show with the BA photography students as well. So how work kind of speaks, how work develops ideas, how do you write an artist statement, how do you communicate with an audience, how do you market yourself, your work and your shared experiences are also part and parcel of the second year, which is much more about looking outwards, developing one's individual ways of working. We have regular trips on the course. In the first semester, we went to the Greenwich Print Fair and saw one of our printmakers working with Iron Bridge printers, printing for the general public. We went to Paupers Press and met Mike Taylor, who is a master printmaker who runs Paupers Press. This was a sneak peek at one of Grayson Perry's woodcuts. Here on the left-hand side, we have the woodcut itself, which was laser cut from an iPad drawing. And on the right hand side we have some of the working proofs that were printed with wooden spoons using hand rolling. A trip to Jealous as well, which is a different kind of editioning house, focusing much more on digital printing combined with screen. Christie Roberts is a gallery that specialises in showing printmaking but also creating print projects between artists and master printmakers. In the second year as well, we also do a schools project with our students where we work within the widening participation group of schools, and we run a series of workshops with Year 10 students. But perhaps the best testament to the work that we do is the student work itself. And again, you get some sense of the possibilities of what you can do on this printmaking degree, whether it's light projection, whether it's bookmaking, or whether it's large-scale prints. Historically, printmaking has had one of the highest satisfaction rates across the university, with many of our students feeling very happy about their experiences on the course. Running alongside the programme for our final year students, we also had a series of professional practice talks. This is Louise Bristow, a former printmaking alumni who's now working within the community, as well as working in exhibition curation, as well as continuing her work now as a painter and printmaker. Lots of our students go on to the Royal College or Camberwell to do the master's course in printmaking. Some of our artists continue to be artists, making, selling and exhibiting. Some set up studios, artist networks. Some develop academic careers. Some get involved in curation. So the opportunities that are presented to you are boundless. Esme from 2 years ago won the Cassant Studio Awards, so had a free studio at the Phoenix Gallery for a year. Alva won it last year. This was open to all 3 fine art courses, producing these large-scale etchings. Catherine Maple won the John Moores Painting Prize 2 years ago. And Isabel Rock won the Evelyn Drawing Award of £10,000 and last year was one of the judges for the Hastings Contemporary Gallery. Charlotte Cornish has continued her work now as a painter, and Judith Alder continues to make print as well as sculpture. Susan Beach has moved much more into manipulation of paper. So what could you be if you did our degree in fine art printmaking? The possibilities are endless. Leora had a major show at Marlborough Fine Art showing paintings, monotypes and etchings, and she's been doing really well, having recently graduated from us before she then moved on to Camberwell. And if you have any further questions, you'll find this QR code link to both our course information page and our student Instagram.